let's look at using inequalities to solve word problems. If we look at this example, it says an elevator at a construction site has a maximum capacity of 2,800 pounds. If the operator weighs 265 pounds and each bag of cement weighs 65 pounds, up to how many bags of cement can safely be lifted on the elevator in one trip? Right, so if we kind of picture what's going on, we have an elevator, we have a person on there, and then we're trying to figure out how many bags of cement can we fit on there, right? How many bags of cement? So my X, the thing that I don't know, is the number of bags of cement. So if I read through this again, they tell me that it has a maximum capacity of 2,800 pounds. So I know maximum is one of my key words for an inequality, right? It tells me that it can be up to 2,800 pounds, but it can't be any higher, right? That's the biggest number that I could possibly have. So I'm going to put that 2,800. And essentially what I'm thinking of is this is the maximum. I'm going to have my inequality symbol in here. And then I'm going to have what's actually in there. So like the person in the cement bags on the left-hand side. So what's actually in the elevator has to be less than or equal to that maximum amount. Now, if I think about what's actually in the elevator, that person, the operator's in there, and the operator's only in there once, the 265-pound operator. So I'm going to include that in there. Then they tell me that each bag of cement weighs 65 pounds. So I know that I'm going to have to include 65 pounds for every bag of cement, but I don't know how many bags of cement I actually have. That's my X. So I'm going to add in that 65 times X. So that's my total weight of what's actually in the elevator, and that 2,800 is the maximum weight. All right, so my goal now is to get that X by itself. I'm going to do undo multiplication with subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 265 from both sides. If I do that, I end up with 65x is less than or equal to 2,535. Then I need to divide by 65 and divide by 65. When I do that, I'm going to end up with x is less than or equal to 39. But we know in the real world, if somebody said, hey, how many bags of cement can I put in this elevator? And you said x is less than or equal to 39, they'd look at you like we were crazy. So we want to put this back in the context of the situation. So they said up to how many bags of cement can be safely lifted on the elevator. So I would say up to 39 bags of cement as my final answer. Let's look at one more. So here we're using a skill we saw before where we were converting temperatures. So it says the formula for converting Fahrenheit temperature F to Celsius temperature C is given below. If Celsius temperature ranges from 15 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius inclusive, what is the range for the Fahrenheit temperature? And then the formula we're given is that C equals 5/9 times the quantity F minus 32. So if we look at this, they're telling us a range inclusive. Inclusive means the numbers are included. So we need to make sure that 15 is actually included, 35 is actually included. So this is actually a 3-part inequality that we're going to write because something's between two numbers. And it's the degrees Celsius that's between those two numbers. So we have 15 degrees is less than or equal to something, which is going to be less than or equal to 35. We need those equal to's because of that inclusive. And so this is in Celsius, and we want to convert it to Fahrenheit. So if we were trying to do this piece by piece, right, we would kind of just plug the 15 in here for C and then solve for F. And then we could plug the 35 in for C and solve for F again. So what we're going to do here is plug that right-hand side of that equation, the 5/9 times F minus 32, into the middle of this inequality. And we're going to solve both pieces at the same time. So the first thing that I'm going to do is, because there's a fraction, multiply through to get rid of the denominator. So I'm going to multiply by 9, multiply by 9 or 9 over 1, and multiply by 9. If I do that, I end up with 135 is less than or equal to 5 times F minus 32, which is less than or equal to 315. The next thing I'm going to do is distribute that 5 to get rid of those parentheses. So I'll have 135 is less than or equal to 5F minus 160, which is less than or equal to 315. Now I'm going to get that F by itself. So I'm going to add 160 to all three pieces. So that's going to give me 290 and 475. And I'll have that 5F left over in the middle. Then I need to undo multiplication. I do that by dividing everything by 5. When I do 295 divided by 5, I end up with 59 is less than F, less than or equal to F, which is less than or equal to that 475 divided by 5, which gives me 95. So same thing, I don't want to answer that way, I want to answer in words. So they are asking me what was the range for the Fahrenheit temperature. And they told me the Celsius temperature ranged from 15 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius inclusive. So I would say that it's 59 degrees Fahrenheit to 95 degrees Fahrenheit inclusive.